really feel that audio is a future that we are yet to see in terms of using it for safety, for work instructions, really making it easier for people to engage with work.
A few weeks ago, we attended the AME conference in Chicago where we got to meet many listeners of the podcast. So, a big thank you to everyone that stopped by to say hello. During the conference, we actually set up a podcast recording booth and recorded 7 different episodes, including the one you're about to listen to today. And today's episode was extra fun since it was totally unplanned and spontaneous. Here's what happened. My longtime lean thinking friend Jean Cunningham walked by the booth and stopped to say hello. After a brief chat, I asked Jean if she'd be interested in coming on to the show, and she agreed. Now, as many of you likely know, Jean Cunningham is the chairman of the Lean Enterprise Institute. So, on today's show, Jean gives us an update on the latest happenings over at LEI, including an introduction to a new podcast they've recently released. Now, show notes for this episode, which will include links to everything we talk about, can be found over at gembapodcast.com. Just look for episode 295. Finally, if you've struggled with any aspect of your lean journey, Gemba Academy would be honored to help you. And while we're best known for our videos and this podcast, we also offer a variety of coaching services. Put another way, we're far more than a Lean and Six Sigma video production company. Please visit us over at gembaacademy.com to learn more. Okay, enough from me. Let's get to the show. All right. Well, Jean Cunningham, welcome back to the show. How's it going?
Fine. Thanks, Ron.
Yeah,
good to talk to you.
We're here at AME, and I guess you guys have a nice booth over here. LEI does. So first of all, I don't know if I've actually seen you face to face since you were new position at LEI. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yes, I was really pleased to become the chairman of LEI this year.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. So I just thought maybe it would be fun to kind of catch up on the latest and greatest of what's going on at LEI and with Jean. And so what's going on with LEI? What's new?
What's going on? Well, a lot's going on. We have some new leadership in place, and our focus has really been to revive some things that we used to do, as well as create some new things to engage people in lean thinking and practice. So a couple of things I thought I would share with you. One is we've restarted the WLEI podcast. So we had launched it, a year or so, and had some nice interest in it. People were listening, and then we got a little bit away from it.
I was going to say I didn't know you've done that, so I'll start listening.
So we've just restarted. We had our 5th new episode this week.
Okay.
And the way we're doing it is we have 3 hosts that will repeat. So we have Josh Howell, who is focusing on being a leader, being a manager, because he's our new president at LEI, and so he's wanting to learn from other leaders and managers how do you lead and manage. So he thought, why don't I podcast on this? The second person that's doing them is Deb McGee. Deb is an LEI employee, but she does a lot of teaching on coaching. And so she's doing a coaching podcast on how do people coach, what's it like to be coached, what's it like to be a coach. So she's doing that. And then Matt Savas is our other team leader, one of our other team leaders at LEI, and he is focusing on problem solving, talking to people that have had problems, how they solve the problem. And so they'll have ongoing, and then we'll have one a month that's just sort of an open, whatever topic that
So is it like a weekly podcast? Is that the plan?
Yes, it's a weekly podcast.
What day does it come out?
It usually comes out on either Sunday night or Monday morning. So like this week's came out this morning. But we have a very large number of people that are connected to WLEI, and we were like, wow, we should be this is how people want to be communicated with. So we've got that restarted.
Great. So what's the name of the podcast if people are going to search for it?
Yeah, WLEI.
So if they go into the podcast thing?
Yep, they go. They just search on WLEI, and please join. We'd be happy for that to happen. So that's one thing. Another thing that we're doing that's interesting is we're trying to learn about lean thinking within the food industry. So you think about the food industry, it's a really interesting value stream, right? It's from the ground to the plate. The farm to the fork. And if you also think about that value stream, there's a lot of waste in it. both waste of food itself, but also waste of human talent. There are a lot of really bad jobs in the food industries. I think we've all read about some of the challenges in the food industry. There's also bad food.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting, we said, let's really focus on a new industry. We've always tried to further lean thinking in practice, right? Not just keep doing the same thing over and over, because there's a lot of good people in our space who are helping people learn about lean practice and lean thinking. Well, we want to try to always be moving that forward. Yeah. So we're focusing on the food industry and trying to learn and find partners in that space and learn from them. So we're at the very early stages. Maybe we could say the seeds have been, the ground is getting plowed, right? We don't have anything flowering too much yet, but there are some stories about some of the work that we've done with a local restaurant in Boston, and it's pretty exciting. Okay. So that's one thing, furthering lean thinking and practice in a new industry. And then another thing that we're doing is trying to really create more opportunities for people to tell the stories about lean thinking and practice. Like what has happened when they've tried to apply lean thinking, and what happened in practice? What did they learn? And taking it beyond sort of a project orientation, but really more towards a lean management system and stories of how to make that transition. I think most of us started their lean activities in more of a project orientation, Kaizen orientation. Sure. Really powerful, really valuable. I mean, my experience at Lantac with Kaizen approach was just amazing of how we changed the company. But at some point, you've got to move beyond that, or else when the people that are leading those efforts leave, things fall apart. Yeah. And so how to really move more towards really that lean management system that's embedded within the organization. I think all of us in the lean community know how hard and challenging that is. Yeah. So we want to keep looking for stories of that and telling those stories so that other people can learn from that and, make better jobs, focus better on customer value, improve outcomes of companies. So, those are some of the things that, we're really focusing on.
You guys are continuing to publish books and whatnot. So what's the top? Well, I shouldn't put you on the spot. It's not fair. But what are some good newer books coming out from LEI that folks should look into?
Well, it's funny that you say newer books, because we do have some new books out. We have
the oldie but goodies, right? The red, the red book, the green book, the blue book, right? Yeah, we've all grown up with.
Yeah, and so we do have some new books. We have Getting Home, which is a story about the St. Bernard Project and
I want to get them on the podcast, by the way.
Zach, I'm sure Zach would be willing to. I know there's unfortunately the weather continues to create opportunities for new housing to be created. So he's a busy guy. Yeah. But we would love, love for that to happen too. I'm sure he would. We have 4 Types of Problems, Art Smalley, that came out that's been very popular. Designing the Future, which is about lean product and process development work with Jim Morgan and his work at Ford and the work there. But I think, and we have Lean Sensei, which is a book by a bunch of authors in Europe, that including Michael Ballet. And that's been popular. But I think one of the things that I think about the books when I come down new to LEI, fresh eyes to LEI, is that there continue to be a lot of very new people to lean. Yeah. Like we are not saturated. And so we're not like a normal book business, right? We have new learners about lean all the time, so we need to continue to bring forward the existing information about basic information to know about lean that is in some of the books that have been around for a while,
for sure,
and continue to make those available and clear that these are basic tools to help you as you begin to learn about lean. And then begin to mesh that with then management system. But you need the tools too, right? We sort of badmouth tools, but we need tools. We need tools.
Yeah, you could have all the respect for people in the world, and if nobody knows how to do anything, what are we going to do? Just respect each other?
So I'm not so much focused on new books, but focused on bringing the learning that we have in our books to the increasingly bigger market, bigger audience of people trying to learn.
Last year I actually had I think it was last year, all this time gets away from me, when Learning to See had its 20-year anniversary. It was at Kotakon. I was actually very fortunate to be able to kind of share a testimony to Mike and Mike Rother and Jeffrey Leiker was there as well, talking about Toyota Way, which I think was 10-year at that time. But, I told Mike that blue book, man, learning to see it changed my life.
Yeah.
It really did.
Yeah.
Because as a young engineer, I mean, I still have my original copy.
That's
it's
so
just
cool.
marked up and like almost falling apart. But yeah, everyone
really
listening, if you're new to Lean, if you don't have, you still sell the bundle.
Yeah,
those
we sell the
workbooks.
bundle. That's a great way to buy
how many of those I bought
Yeah.
over the years.
Yeah, the bundle's great.
Creating continuous flow, creating level pull, managing to learn,
Managing to learn,
and learning to see, obviously.
Yeah, fulfillment. So one of the things we are doing with the books that is new is, look at us. We're doing a podcast here, right?
Yeah.
Like we have audio.
Yeah.
And I think audio is really important.
Yeah.
So we are starting to put some of these books on audio.
Good.
We have only had 2 books on audio, and we already now have Getting Home is now on audio. We have a new book coming out in January, Steady Work, that will be on audio.
Good.
4 Types is in process right now to be on audio. So we are going to do more and more. We've got about 18 of our books that we plan to put on audio because this is the way a lot of people like to.
I listen to Audible. I'm like religiously, the audiobooks on Audible.
And then you might read something on Audible and go like, oh, well, now I want to get the book.
Exactly.
Because there are things you can't do in Audible that can be in a book. But that doesn't mean that people can't get exposed initially.
Yes.
How many of us have said, oh, I'm going to go back to that book or look at that display?
Yes.
So you might still need a physical book, but more importantly in our mission is to expose people to ideas.
Yeah.
It's not just about selling books.
Yep.
It's about
Yep.
sharing information.
Well, in the younger generation, let's be honest, the median age of people walking around this conference right now, sadly isn't, 25 years old. They're much, I don't know what the median age is, but, I can tell you my kids still read books, they have to with school, but they're consuming way more in their ears and their eyes, than they are reading, right? As far as videos and podcasts and things like that.
It brings up an interesting topic. It's a little off topic, but a couple of years ago I needed to get hearing aids, and my life of the hearing aids, the way that they have Bluetooth now and everything, it is just amazing.
Yeah.
I can hear my phone ring anywhere. Well, then we went to this wonderful display here in Chicago. Since we're here in Chicago at the AME, there was a music show. I'm drawing a blank of who the artist was. I'll remember it later, of course.
Uh-huh.
But as you moved around the exhibit, music came on that was relevant to that exhibit. I really feel that audio is a future that we are yet to see in terms of using it for safety, for work instructions, for really making it easier for people to engage with work.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot to come. I think audio is not yet fully, is really on the beginning stages of how we can use it for meaningful work and make work easier.
Yeah, we just got back from in Seattle visiting the Lighthouse for the Blind. Brent Weikers, he's here actually running a workshop. He's leading that whole charge. And so obviously these are blind and they had 27 deaf blind, can't see or hear. And so, but to your point, the folks that are just blind that can hear, everything's talking. Their calipers are talking. Their machines clearly talking. And that's how they're getting around. And they're functioning as well, if not better, than fully sighted and fully hearing employees at other companies.
Right.
So, but yeah, all these tools can help all of us, whether we're fully sighted and hearing or not.
Right, because I really just think it is one of an additional ways that we can learn and be exposed to new ideas.
Yeah.
So lean thinking, and then taking practice, right? Then actually doing something. You can't just be learning all the time. You've got to go and do some practice, see what happens, then share the story.
Yeah,
so
exactly. So I'm sure everyone listening knows, but the best way to get the LEI is
at lean.org.
Yeah, lean.org.
And for those that know me, you might know me related to my work with Lean Accounting.
Yeah.
I'm really proud to say that Lean Accounting is also part of LEI, and we have embraced that as well, and can and get information about lean accounting there as well. So for me personally, coming to LEI and being able to bring the work that I've done, I'm really pleased about that as well.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Thanks again for coming on.
Thanks,
Keep up the
Ron.
great work.
Thank you so much.
Right.
Okay.
Thanks for listening to the Gemba Academy podcast. Now, we invite you to take a no-strings-attached, fully functional test drive of GembaAcademy.com. Gain immediate access to more than 1,000 Lean and Six Sigma learning resources, all free of charge, at GembaAcademy.com.